All right, quite a sizable drop here for Bitcoin today. It went from 108 down to $100,000, and there are a lot of talks about this turning into a bigger correction. I definitely think that this could turn into a bigger correction, but honestly, there's a lot that we need to talk about before we get there. And the number one thing that I want to focus your attention on right here in this video today is the simple fact that Bitcoin has support here. Bitcoin has pretty much been trading in a parallel channel now for quite a good amount of time, and it's actually a really good parallel channel. It's basically, your typical kind of vertical accumulation. You can draw this a couple of different ways, right? I mean, obviously, that's going to be one way that you can draw it, but another way that you can draw it is going to look something a little bit more like this, and it's going to look a little bit more like a wedge, perhaps. But the overall point remains the same no matter what, which is that Bitcoin has had a series of a very, very clear series of price action here where you move up, you enter vertical accumulation, you move up, you enter vertical accumulation, you move up, and you enter vertical accumulation, right? That's what Bitcoin's been doing for quite a bit of time now, and we're not interested. I got to make this really clear with you, right? Because a lot of people are a little bit new to the game. Even if you've been here for like 2-3 years, people who've been here for many years make this mistake, where they think that, these lines need to match up. And like, honestly, between you and I couldn't care less if these lines match up. It's not important for me because I'm not actually taking a trade based off this chart yet, right? There are trades that I want to take. I've already been taking trades in this market, and I've been telling you guys about it. There are a few that I haven't told you guys about, but they've been going well as well. But this bit of analysis we're doing right now, this is not to trade for me, right? This is just for me to understand the market, and then I can look at what I want to trade based off this. So I need to get this right. And what's really important is that in order to get it right, we're not worried about these lines touching the points on the chart. What we're worried about is, are we telling a story that makes sense, right? Like, does it make sense for me to say that this market has consistently been entering these kind of vertical accumulation zones where you move up quickly and then you continue moving up but slowly, and then it's quick again, and then it's slow, and then it's quick, and then it's slow for a long time, right? Is it reasonable to say that? That's all I care about, right? It doesn't matter if the lines touch, and it's very, very clear that that's a totally reasonable assessment. And with that in mind, we're still in range, and we're going to stay in range because we don't care about this line, remember? We're going to stay in range, basically anything above 95K, because that's going to be our kind of prior low on this trend. Anything above kind of 95K, 94K really, is going to be bullish territory for Bitcoin, in my opinion, okay? And that does mean that from our all-time high, that allows for about a 13% drop, which is a totally reasonable kind of short to mid-term correction. Very, very reasonable little correction here. And I think that's important to keep in mind. Obviously, we're going to be looking at traditional finance, which has taken a beating. I mean, considering what the S&P 500 has done, I think Bitcoin's actually held up really well. Gold has taken a beating, and the dollar has shot up. So obviously, that's going to be the real reason for everything. And like I said, you can't really analyze these charts without looking at traditional finance. A lot of people in this market, they do just get on CoinMarketCap or, whatever trading dashboard they have for crypto, and then they just analyze that, and they think that they're getting an informed picture. Obviously, they're completely incorrect and very, very naive to be doing that because none of this actually is relevant, compared to the real story, which is traditional finance, right? And if we're getting the dollar moving up really high, then obviously all of our investments are going to be, falling a little bit against the dollar, right? That's just, exactly, I mean, it's 1 + 1 = 2. It's very straightforward, right? If the currency that you measure your asset in gets stronger, then relative to that currency, your asset is going to get weaker. That's what happened here. So you can go ahead and repeat that, take notes, digest that, phrase that I just said there, because that's really, really important. What else is really, really important, though, is this insane $2.2 million prize pool here from Bybit, which you're going to get for their 6th anniversary, depending on the steps and stuff like that on screen right here. So this is an absolutely huge anniversary. Bybit's been around for a really long time. I've been with them pretty much since the beginning of this 6-year period, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly when I started using Bybit, but it was very close to the beginning. I just used it as a normal person. Obviously, I knew it was the best exchange in the game. It's now substantially better. I don't know how they pulled that off. Really, really impressive. And $2.2 million for you when you get signed up and start trading using my link in the description down below. So if that does sound like something that you're interested in, That link is always going to be right here at the top of the description. I'm actually going to put a specific link just for this exact prize pool as well if you want to get yourself inside. There's a ton of guaranteed rewards and then further rewards for you. So check them all out if you are interested, because the market is hot. You want that cash to trade with. It's absolutely sick. Obviously, the only thing to keep in mind is that you're not allowed to use any of these platforms if you're from a restricted region. But let's bring it back to the video here and talk about this Bitcoin level. I think what's really important about this Bitcoin level is the fact that we're already finding support off this $100,000 psychological support level, and it's also the first time that we've meaningfully tested it, right? There's a lot of kind of fear and people being upset and so on and so forth, but I think the reality is that, we're doing really, really well, right? Bitcoin is coming back to back test. Let's see what Donald is saying. Dumping so hard it started to leave the chart. What's he talking about here? Whiff. Yeah, he doesn't like whiff, bless him. I mean, this is crazy because it went from this is whiff against Doge. Yeah, so I guess whiff is really dying against Doge. We'll take a look at some alts in a second, but I think that there's a real sentiment of kind of fear and just like shit, things are not looking good right now or whatever. But really, I think that the reality is very clear. We're back testing $100,000 for the first time, right? I mean, we back tested it a couple of times. The first time that we kind of broke above it, this happened, and we really didn't get anything off this level. On this occasion here, a little bit of consolidation. Here was the first kind of real like support retest that we got off 100K, and it did take Bitcoin up to its all-time high. So clearly, this is a level that the market respects, and it's being proven again because our entire dump stopped here. And so I think it's pretty straightforward, right? You lose this level, and then it's going to be potentially all the way back down to about 94 at the lowest. If we get lower than 94, then obviously we're breaking that structure that I told you guys about with this parallel channel, right? If this thing kind of starts getting down to like here, I can't really redraw this parallel channel anymore, right? Like now it's more of a broadening wedge, and I don't believe in broadening wedges. I think that they're even more stupid. So I'm pretty much stuck here, right? I mean, if Bitcoin gets down below 94, I'm going to start getting a little bit more bearish. Anything above that, and I think it's business as usual, and we really just have to see how things go with traditional finance, because if traditional finance is going to keep on dumping, then obviously it's not going to be looking good for Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin itself can stay above 94, then I think it's still going to be in really good posture. Overall, I don't think we're seeing anything significant or concerning at all. The S&P 500 was simply setting all-time highs and trending there for about sitting there for about 12 days. I understand that we had a really bullish pattern and then it farted and it just fell downwards, but who cares? Doesn't matter. It's a little thing. I mean, we've had a ton of these little corrections on the chart already. I know that you don't care, and I certainly don't either. We need to make sure we don't get cocky, right? Because eventually you're going to be right about that kind of attitude so many times. And then one day you're going to be very wrong, and that's when the market crashes for good, right? So you got to be careful with that kind of attitude, but at this stage, Trump's not even in the office, right? And it's just looking so bullish for crypto, and everything else really. So I just don't, I think this is gonna obviously recover quite nicely, and obviously I'm expecting it to get substantially better for Bitcoin as well. Now the Bitcoin dominance conversation is going to be important. Everybody and their grandmother was trying to tell me why I was wrong about my Bitcoin analysis down here. Obviously they're perfectly on time to be absolutely fully incorrect. As always, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to keep it real, ladies and gents, because the real thing you need to be doing at key reversal points, i.e. market bottoms, is you need to start to be getting bullish. There's really no excuse for it. Back when Bitcoin was at $15,000, I myself told you guys that now is a good time to be buying Bitcoin, or at least I think that, we're going to get substantially higher. Back then, when we were at 15K back in 2022, I was telling you guys that I think we're going to be getting up to 30 or 40K maybe. I didn't think that we would get higher than 40K, so I guess that's where I was wrong. But that was a very, very bold prediction to be making back down there, and it's the right time to be doing it, right? Like, you want to be... this is the thing. I say it to you guys so many times, right? Because a lot of people who watch this video are not going to get it, but you probably haven't made it this far into the video. But a lot of you who have made it this far, you're not in that camp, right? And so you're actually going to be much more interested in just getting it right. And what you need to keep in mind, we've said this before for those of you who are subscribed, is that if you've got a certain idea, like, Bitcoin's dominance might, reverse back up, or more specifically, the idea might be that altcoins are not going to keep on moving up, because Bitcoin dominance is going to be going up. I think that a lot of you need to keep in mind that if you've got an opinion like that, and absolutely everybody is in just a huge phase of excitement, and everybody is just so happy that their altcoins are now only down by minus 80% as opposed to minus 90% or whatever the meme might be. If you notice that there's actually a support level for Bitcoin's dominance, or things are not looking great, but everybody else is just on a bandwagon, then that might be a sign. It might be a sign, not always, right? Sometimes the majority does get their way. It happens quite often, actually. But on occasions like this, it was very obvious, and Bitcoin's dominance has managed to bounce back up with quite a bit of strength. It's even swept the recent high from a few days ago, and I think that is actually a really big deal. This was about a week ago. We set this high at about 57.9, and now it's above that level at 58.2. It's a very small move up, but the fact that it swept that high, I think, really tells us a lot about the strength of this market right now. And then we did end up seeing this thing continue to fly higher. We could end up seeing this thing continue to fly higher, and this 61% level is going to be that level to break if you want to see Bitcoin's dominance getting significantly higher. The thing we got to keep in mind is that people in altcoins right now are probably going to get fucked, with exceptions. Some exceptions are still going to be really strong, but a lot of people are going to make a lot more money if Bitcoin's dominance goes higher, because there's going to be even more upside in the altcoins later on, right? It's the very, very basic, we're all about just having a super basic, like, logical understanding of the market, right? Like, I want you to get away from my videos, walk away from my videos, and just be like, everything he said clicked and just made sense, and it just sounds like fact. It just sounds like reality, right? And the reality of these situations with altcoins, for example, is that the best time to get in them is when they're cheap, is when they've been absolutely fucking destroyed, which is what happened with Solana, by the way. Let me give you guys a little kind of walk through history right here. Solana got absolutely destroyed, back in the 2022 debacle relating to FTX. And we can see the result of that, right? I mean, this shit went down by 96%, and then it did recover quite a bit. It went all the way up to kind of $33, but it was basically sideways and dying for about 300 days, just trading sideways at about, average price probably about $22. And then it ended up moving up really high, right? So, and the reason that this happened is on this entire move, a lot of people sold their Solana tokens, and this also happens if Bitcoin dominance goes up, keep in mind. And then down here, now you have no holders in the market anymore, right? If nobody's holding the coin anymore, then the only thing that can happen at this stage is clicking the buy button, right? If everybody's already sold it, then there are no more tokens to sell, so you don't have to worry about the price going down. But if there are now a lot of buyers, if there are a lot of buyers and not very many sellers left, then you're actually in the strongest position that you really could be in. So I think that's really well worth keeping in mind, I think, in this market. And then bringing it back to how that relates to Bitcoin's dominance, I mean, that's just going to spell really, really quite amazing opportunities for us. Ethereum against Bitcoin, obviously, no surprises. It just cannot keep up. It just cannot move where it needs to, when it needs to. It's just unable to do so. It's been unable to do so for a very long period of time. It's now seeing another rejection. Is it going to come back down to this level and lower? I don't know. I just don't see support here, though. That's the problem, right? Like, from this chart, it's obvious. It has to come back down. It's fallen down to support. It's back-tested resistance twice and failed twice. It has to come back down. Bitcoin's dominance shows us that that's going to happen. If Bitcoin keeps on ripping, I mean, look, as soon as Bitcoin started to go up, that dominance started to move up as well. Bitcoin started to dump, and that dominance shot up, right? So we're seeing the same thing that I tell you guys over and over and over, which is just that when Bitcoin goes up, dominance goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, dominance still goes up. So in both cases, holding altcoins loses you money until alt season comes around. And we're not in alt season yet, because I don't think Bitcoin's dominance has topped out, and clearly it hasn't topped out because we're moving up right now. So really, really important stuff there. So I think, that's the kind of Bitcoin dominance picture. Ethereum against Bitcoin, we've covered that. Now, obviously, Ethereum in and of itself is not a shitcoin, right? And so I'm not expecting it to die. And if it comes below this 0.3 level, it's going to probably have to fall down to 0.25 BTC per token. I want to buy down here. I also want to buy down here. I should have bought over here. I told you guys I made a mistake. I said I was going to buy and then I didn't do it. So that was, stupid for me. But if I get that chance again, I'm going to be buying. I think that now is a good time to buy. I think here's you can't go wrong at this point. It's been dying for so long. I think it's going to make money no matter where the purchase happens. Kind of anywhere below 0.4 is actually quite a good buy level in my opinion. So I don't know. I might change my mind on that, but So far, I don't really own any Ethereum tokens, but I do want to definitely get back in. Solana against Bitcoin is dipping a little bit. You know me, I like buying dips, so that's interesting. I haven't looked at this to buy it yet, but I am interested for sure. Binance token against Bitcoin not doing well, and of course, yeah, WIF is really not having a great time. But I think because of that, this can actually turn into quite a spectacular opportunity to buy it. I think when things start getting a little bit more, how do I say, excited again in the market. But with that, ladies and gents, I'm going to be signing off. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. You know exactly what to do. Check out that huge prize pool from Bybit for their amazing 6th anniversary. Blowfin as well is running a $100,000 reward. So now you've got 2.2, what was it? 2.2 plus 100K in potential rewards here, which is just absolutely fucking insane. Blowfin is well worth checking out as well as an alternative to Bybit. You're going to find a link to Blowfin right here in the description. And as usual, always make sure that you're not, that if you're in a restricted region, that you're not using these platforms and that you're abiding by your local laws and regulations. But with that, ladies and gents, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. You know what to do if you have. Smash out those likes, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Cheers.